الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Hi viewers, Abdurrahim Khan from Free IT Education. Today we're gonna have another lecture about Python, and today we're gonna cover boolean. It is very important thing to learn in Python. So without any further delay, so we will open W3 schools and we will do different lectures. Okay, so we're gonna build it up slowly and gradually. What boolean is? Boolean basically true and false. So here we got a text we are just saying that is 10 greater than 9. So this is greater than sign. Yes, that is true, so it returned true. We are saying that is 10 equal to 9, that's false, and it returned false, which is a boolean thing. And here we say that is 10 less than 9, that is false. So this is just if you given an expression, this is called an expression. So where you just give him a logic and you asking him that whether that logic is true or false. So this is just a fundamental building blocks. We will do more example and we'll just learn more about boolean. Okay, so next thing is we have assigned a value to A, which is 200, and B is 33, and now we are using a logic, and logic is this is an expression, is B greater than A. We are asking if this is true, we call them this will return, as you have seen in the previous expression, this will return true or false. So the value B contains 33 and A contains 200. So 33 is not greater than A, so which is 200. So this will be false. If this is false, this will jump to the else logic, so which is saying else, and this is the syntax for writing an else in Python. And then we say that B is not greater than A, which is the case as B is not greater than A. So let's say if we change this to 250, so now we have assigned a value 250 to B, and you can see that now 250 is greater than 200. That logic is true. So if this is true, we want that to be printed, and this will not be printed. So let's run that, and you should see that B is greater than A. And yes, B is greater than A. So this is we building up a logic of a boolean, which we have learned if this will return a boolean true or false. Okay, so the next one we're going to learn. So here we make a use of a boolean function, which is basically saying that is there anything in that in the boolean function, and yes, there is a string, which we say that yes, there is something which is a string. Is there any value? Yes, there is a value, which is 15. So you can make a use of, let's say 29, and you can run it. It should tell you that yes, there is some value of within that value. So that is mean boolean true or false. We will make a use of these things later on. Okay, so making use of the boolean and putting a value, basically asking is there any value within that variable. So here we have used a variable x with the value of hello and y is equal to 15, and now we are asking a boolean function, is there any value in x, and it says yes, there is. So this is just to double check. So we will make a use of this later on within the programming language, a boolean function. And here is another example. We have make a use of string, an integer, and a list. We have given a list. Yes, there is a list. Okay. So now another interesting thing we're going to learn. If there is a value of false, the boolean will return a false. If there is none, there is no value into that, then we call them, what should you return? It will be false. If it's a 0, that's false. If it is an empty string, that's false. Empty tuple or set, a list and dictionary, then you would see that it will return a false. So let me see if I say a is equal to none, and here I just call it print boolean and type of value of a. Here I'm interested to ask whether a has got some value, and at the moment we have assigned some value to none. But in the programming language, when you process different text and then you're not sure whether you're getting some value or not, there you will make a use of the boolean to make sure whether you are getting some value, true and false. If it is true, you will run a logic, call a function, and you will make a use of that true and false. You make a decision. So here we are interested in to see this should return a false, because yes, and that is right, a is equal to none. Okay, so this is very important for you to know that. Okay, so later on we're going to learn about classes, but this is just for simplicity here, we just to cover our topic about boolean. Let's say this is a class we're going to learn in Python how to define your class, and here is a function within that class and we returning 0. And what we're doing here, we're making an instance, which means like we making an object of this class, which is called my object. And now we are calling my object, which we're saying that whether that return true and false. And if we run it, and it should return a false. Okay, so this is something we will learn later on. Okay, another usage of a boolean is here. We in Python, that's how we create a function. Like we use a keyword called def, which is definition, and the function name, and a bracket and a colon, and then you indent. Here what we're doing, we're calling this function my function, and we are saying that whether it is returning true and false, and it is returning true, and that's right. And if we do it as false and we run it, so that should give it a false. That's right, so that's false. Well, later on we will build it up, we will write a very complicated code within the functions where we will manipulate the values, and then we will return some variable, and that variable we will be interested to see whether what is the value of that return value returned from the function. So there we will make a use of that, but here we are just learning about Boolean function. Here is a very good example. The same function we have made a use previously. Here we are using a if logic, and if logic we calling a function, directly a function. And you see that this function, in the previous example we learned in a printf and function we call it returned true and false. Now the if logic is saying if this is true, then print yes, else print no. So if we do it like, as you can see that it is true because it's returning true, then it will return it as yes. Let's say if we make this value change to false, and then it should return no. So what should be the case? That's right, and that's what it has done it. Okay. Last example is what we're going to see that we have got a variable x, and we have assigned a value 200, and we said that is instance of x is an integer, and now we're saying that is this value is an integer or not, and yes, it is integer. And if it is, we put them a value of 1 2 3 and run it. So now it is saying that is this variable x contains an integer value, is not, it is floating. And so that's how and if we say that is checking the data type of this variable to float, and then we should see Yes, this is a float value, uh, and that's how we learn. As you have seen it, we have learned true and false, and we have made a use of different things to identify um, as true or false. So this is also very good usage of boolean, where sometimes you are interested to know what that variable contains, what is the data type of it, and based on to that data type you will be able to make a decision what you're going to do if this is a data type of integer or a float or a string or different data types, and then you will write your logic and will manipulate it as you can. Okay. um, Viewers, as I've said, that there are very good exercises at the end of these lessons. Attempt them. This will enforce your learning. And today we have covered about usage of Boolean in Python. We are just building our learning in Python, covering different fundamental blocks. And then once we have learned all of these things, then we will write up a code, and then we will make a use of all these things we have learned, and then we will make a use of these code for a useful programming within a Python. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to my channel, share with your friends so most of the people benefit from this free IT education. Abdurrahim Khan from Free IT Education. Bye now.